Hi, this is Anne Rice. It's September 18th, 2012, and I'm making this little video about writing because I get a lot of emails from people who ask me for my advice on writing or becoming a writer. And many people post on my Facebook page with the same question. Would I have any advice for a beginning writer? Do I have any advice about writer's block, etc.? So I'd like to make some remarks about writing. First of all, my advice is really the same. It's the same for anybody writing any kind of book. But I guess it's more for fiction writers like myself than perhaps for others. But it's really basically this: write. What makes a writer is writing. You have to write. Writing to a person like me and asking for advice is in a way a waste of time. You have to sit down and you have to write the book of your dreams. You have to write what you want to be known for. You have to create a universe of your own in print, and there's only one way to do that, and that's to kick out the pages every day. Kick them out and save them. You know, you may write 2 or 3 chapters of a book and decide you hate it. Don't throw it away, save it. It's very easy to do in the computer age. You make a folder for that, you put it away, you save it. But the main thing is to write, to create through writing the person you want to be as a writer. Just get that manuscript done. When you have a full manuscript in your hands, whether it's a collection of short stories, a collection of poems, or a novel, then it's time to worry about publishing and getting that work out to the world. When it comes to how you actually write, there are no rules. The great thing about our profession is there are no rules. Think for a minute what it's like if you want to be a classic ballet dancer, or if you want to be a great violinist, or if you want to be a symphony conductor, or if you want to be a painter, if you want to be a movie maker. All those fields involve communal apprenticeship, personal instruction, time practicing, many, many rules, many, many ways to do it, but a lot of rules, and rules that involve other people. Our profession, the profession of being a writer, doesn't involve any of that. All you need is a computer and a word processing program, or a typewriter and some paper. And you can create your whole novel. You can create a War and Peace, or you can create The Old Man and the Sea. You know, a short lyrical novel or a great big saga. You can do it all right there at the keyboard. You make it happen. And it's the most wonderful profession because you can begin it at any time. You can do that writing anywhere. You can do it in a cafe with your laptop. You can do it at a kitchen table. You can do it in a garage office. And every year somebody makes it to the bestseller list who started out that way, in their bedroom, writing late at night, or at the kitchen table. It's always been a profession where outsiders can easily break in because it doesn't require equipment, it doesn't require tutelage, it doesn't require advancement amongst a group of people. You do it all yourself. And believe me, it's no harder to get published today than it ever was. You know, one of the great myths about being a writer is that it's almost impossible to break in. Well, that isn't true. I mean, every year people break in, and they always have, or we wouldn't have all these writers. I mean, you know, I came out of nowhere. I was a nothing and a nobody, and I got published with a very unlikely book called Interview with the Vampire that had been turned down about 5 times by knowledgeable people who said that it wasn't worth publishing. Then somebody published it, and I was off and running. Many of the unpublished people I knew back in Berkeley in my days of being a penniless unpublished writer, they went on to be published. They published novels too. They didn't do it through me. They found their own way into publishing. They had careers. They were successful. It was amazing, really, how many of them actually broke in over the years. Of course, there are people who never break in, and maybe they shouldn't, and maybe they should. We don't know. We can't judge. But believe me, the publishing world today is crying for new voices, new visions, new stories, new characters. They don't want somebody that sounds just like Anne Rice or Stephen King or Oscar Wilde or Danielle Steele. They want an original voice. They want somebody new and fresh. They don't want somebody who's got a vampire saga that's going to be exactly like the Chronicles that I wrote. That's not what they want. They want a new take on it, a new approach. It's true that way across the board. And there are editors and agents in New York in big offices who are really dying to encounter new and wonderful talent. So don't ever think that you need to know a whole lot about publishing to break in. You really don't. There are many ways to get your manuscript to them. The easiest way is emailing them and emailing a digital copy of the manuscript. And they are looking. But again, I don't know a lot about publishing itself. I'm not an expert. I only know that it's no different now than it was back when. When I was trying to break in, people stood up at writers' conferences and said, oh, the situation is practically hopeless. The shelf life of a paperback book in America is 9 days. You know, well, what were we supposed to do about that? We were supposed to go home and give up? I didn't give up. I would get impatient listening to those kind of lectures about how hard it was. I would just, you know, keep handing my manuscript to people and say, would you like to read my book, Interview with the Vampire? Maybe you would like to, you know, take a look at it. And guess what? Somebody did at a writer's conference, and she accepted that manuscript, and I was off and running. Anyway, I have some basic advice about how to approach writing, but you must remember what I said. There are no rules. So if what I say isn't useful to you, forget it. But what has always helped me was something a friend of mine, Floyd Salas, a novelist, told me in Berkeley years ago. He said, go where the pain is when you write. Go where the pain is. And I think what Floyd meant was write about what hurts. Go back to the memory that causes you conflict and pain and almost makes you, you know, makes you not able to breathe, and write about it, explore it in the privacy of your room with that keyboard. Go where that pain is. Don't be afraid of that. Well, I would add another rule to Floyd's. Go where the pleasure is. Go where you really want to be in writing. Write the exciting thing that you want to write. Write the book that's interesting to you. If you find that you're bored with the book, don't give it up and put it aside. Think, okay, well, what do I have to do to this book to make it interesting to me? Should I maybe change point of view? Should my character have a revelation? Should he just jump up and do something completely different? I mean, what do I have to do to make it exciting to me? And if you keep doing that with the book, if you keep making it exciting to you, if you keep doing what's interesting to you, pretty soon you'll be getting out of bed in the morning and thinking, I've got to get to work because I want to find out what happens. I mean, that certainly is what happens to me when I'm writing. I'm writing away, you know, and I get up and I think, oh my God, I have to know what Reuben is going to do up at Night Egg Point. I left all the characters, you know, doing this and that. I have to know what's going to happen, what we're going to find out. And what we find out has to be exciting to me. And if you follow that rule, at least if I follow it, a book results. And that book is exciting to me, and it's exciting to other people. Not all of them. For every book I've written has gotten reviews on Amazon that say, this is the worst book ever published. This woman does not know how to write. So, you know, you can't bat 1,000. You can't win them all. But if you follow that advice, I think you will turn out the book that you yourself are proud of, the book that you love, and the book that you want to take out into the world. And once you do finish that book, once you've got it, don't take no for an answer from anybody. No matter how many rejections you get, keep going. Keep going. Don't listen to anybody who rejects a book, and never revise that book because you got a rejection from an editor with a bunch of, you know, negative advice. Never do that. Any editor who rejects your book doesn't get it. Don't revise for that person. Wait till you get a letter from an editor that says, we really love your book, we'd like to publish it. Do you think you could see your way clear to maybe shortening it a bit or changing this or that? That's when you listen. That's when you decide. Now, say you've written your book, you've sent it to every New York publisher you know of, and they've all rejected it. What do you do then? Do you give up? No, you do not give up. Self-publish. It's never been easier. There are all kinds of ways to do it. And there are stories every few weeks about self-published authors who are suddenly being picked up by New York publishers. They're being discovered. Or they've made hundreds of thousands of dollars on their own. I mean, we hear about it all the time. So if you're out there, if you're writing, you need stubbornness, you need courage, you need faith in yourself that's as strong as any talent you may possess. And you need to write that book the way you want to write it, and keep trying to get it published, and if that doesn't work, self-publish it. That's the best advice I can give you or any other writer. And again, if this advice doesn't work for you, throw it out the window. The other day on Facebook, we had a discussion about this, about publishing, about self-publishing, about the Kindle revolution, about how easy it was for people to do their own novels, short stories, poems, etc. And a couple of people came onto the thread and they said that it was hopeless, that you couldn't break into publishing unless you knew somebody. There's just no point to holding that cynical belief. First of all, it's just not true. They really, believe me, when a New York editor opens your manuscript, they really want it to be good. They truly want it to work. They want to find the next Ann Tyler or Iris Murdoch or Stephanie Meyer. They want to find that person. So there's always, you must always fight that kind of cynicism. You can be sure that 2,000 years ago, when actors went to Athens to act in the Greek tragedy, somebody waylaid them outside of town and said, don't even try. It's all rigged. You won't get on the stage in Athens or Epidaurus unless you know somebody. Don't pay any attention. The only thing standing between you and realizing your dreams as a writer is usually yourself. You're the one that's got to write the material. You're the one who's got to believe in it, and you're the one who's got to take it out there. And I think that's about all that I can tell you. I don't have any specific recommendations for how to send it to New York, your manuscript to New York publishers, but I know that there are websites out there that you can consult, and there used to be a big reference book called The Literary Marketplace that was filled with a list of all the reputable agents and writers. One thing you can do is walk into a bookstore and you can look at the books that you read, the books you admire. If you love a particular author, look and see who publishes that author. Look and see who does the most beautiful books. Talk to the clerks. If you can find somebody that's been working there longer than 5 minutes, they'll be able to tell you what publishers do a really fine job of this kind of fiction or that kind of fiction. Whose salespeople really get the books into the stores. Who does the best signings. They can give you a lot of advice. You can go home, you can Google the name of the publisher that they've given you from a particular book, and you can find out the names of specific editors to send your work to. Myself, I think it's easier to get an editor than it is an agent. Agents are really interested in the bottom line, paying the rent. Editors get paid regardless of whether they reject your manuscript or accept it. So I think they're a little more open. But beyond that, I really don't have a lot of hot info. It's been years since I went to big book conventions and really met the salespeople and the editors and the agents. But again, you know, be brave, reach for the fire from heaven, and nobody can tell you that you can't do that. And really realize your dreams.